San Francisco has always been a city of big dreams. From the gold rush era to the tech boom of today, people have come here with ideas that have changed the world. But every great business, whether it's a small coffee shop in the Mission District or the next Silicon Valley tech startup, starts with one important step: registration. So how exactly do you register your company in San Francisco? What rules apply at the state, county, and federal level, and what documents and fees are involved in making it official? Let's break it down together in the simplest way possible. The first thing to understand is that starting a company in San Francisco means dealing with 3 layers of government. You have federal rules that apply across the entire United States, state laws that apply to all of California, and local regulations that apply specifically to San Francisco County. Each layer has its own requirements, but they all connect to create one complete registration process. Now let's talk about the basics. To register a business here, you must be at least 18 years old and you'll need a legal form of identification, such as a driver's license or passport. You also need either a social security number or, if you're not a U.S. citizen, an individual taxpayer identification number. You'll also need a physical business address in San Francisco, because most business forms will not accept a P.O. box. This address can be your office, your store, or sometimes even your home if zoning laws allow it. Once you've got those basics in place, the next step is to choose your business structure. California recognizes sole proprietorships, partnerships, limited liability companies or LLCs, and corporations. This is one of the most important decisions because it affects your taxes, your liability, and how investors will see your business. Many small businesses go with an LLC because it offers legal protection for your personal assets, while larger companies aiming to raise capital may go with a corporation. After you've chosen your structure, you need to pick and register your business name. In California, you have to check with the Secretary of State to make sure the name is available. If your name is unique, you can reserve it and move forward. If you plan to use a different name than your legal business entity, you'll need to file what's called a fictitious business name, sometimes referred to as a doing business as, through San Francisco County. Once your name is set, you'll move on to the actual registration. For corporations and LLCs, this happens with the California Secretary of State. You'll file articles of incorporation for a corporation or articles of organization for an LLC. This is an official document that establishes your company as a legal entity in California. Filing fees typically range from around $100 to several hundred, depending on the type of company you're creating. Sole proprietorships and partnerships usually don't file with the state, but they still need to register their business name locally. After your entity is filed, you'll need to apply for an employer identification number, often called an EIN, through the Internal Revenue Service. This is a federal requirement, and it's like a social security number for your business. You'll need it for paying taxes, opening a business bank account, and hiring employees. The good news is that the EIN is free and can be applied for online in just a few minutes. Now let's move to San Francisco's local requirements. The City and County of San Francisco requires every business to register with the Office of the Treasurer and Tax Collector. This is called the Business Registration Certificate. The cost depends on your estimated gross receipts for the year. For very small businesses, it may be under $100, while larger companies with bigger revenues will pay higher fees. Once you register, you'll receive your certificate, and it must be renewed each year. Depending on your type of business, you may also need permits or licenses. For example, if you're opening a restaurant, you'll need health permits from the Department of Public Health. If you're in construction, you'll need permits from the Department of Building Inspection. Even a simple retail shop may require zoning clearance to make sure your location is approved for that kind of use. These permits come with their own fees and timelines, so it's important to research what applies to your specific industry. Another requirement in San Francisco is compliance with local labor laws. The city has some of the strongest worker protection laws in the country. That means you'll need to follow rules about minimum wage, paid sick leave, and healthcare coverage if you employ people. These rules are stricter than federal law and even stricter than California state law, so it's something every employer in San Francisco must take seriously from day one. At this point, you've registered with the state, you've filed locally with the county, you've gotten your federal EIN, and you've taken care of any permits or licenses your business requires. The final step is opening a business bank account and setting up your accounting system. Banks will usually require your articles of incorporation or organization, your EIN, and your business registration certificate before they open an account for you. Keeping business finances separate from your personal money is critical for taxes and liability protection. So what does the full process cost? On average, registering a small LLC or corporation in California will cost between a few hundred and about $1,000 when you add up the filing fees, local registration fees, and basic permits. Of course, the cost rises if you need specialized permits or licenses. The timeline is usually a few weeks, depending on how quickly the state processes your paperwork and how soon you can gather your documents. Starting a company in San Francisco may sound like a lot of steps, but when you follow the process in order, it becomes very manageable. First, choose your structure. Second, register your name. Third, file with the state. Fourth, get your federal EIN. Fifth, register locally with the treasurer's office. And finally, get the permits and licenses you need for your industry. The bottom line is this. San Francisco is one of the most competitive business markets in the world, but it's also one of the most rewarding. If you're serious about starting your company here, take the time to get the paperwork right, follow the rules, and build your foundation strong. That way, you'll be ready to focus on what really matters, which is growing your idea into a successful business. If this breakdown helped you understand the process better, make sure to subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone else who's planning to start a business, and drop your questions in the comments below. Your support helps us bring more clear and practical guides like this one.